In this video, I will walk you through the process to migrate a 3D character to the UEFN project and then use it as a Gwort custom character. So it will use Gwort logic and animations, but will look as a custom mesh. So let's begin. Okay, so recently I purchased these two robots, Robot 1, Robot 11, and I have their skeletal meshes. And unfortunately, because I purchased them from the fab, I can't share them on my Patreon, but I will walk you through the process that you will be able to use your skeletal meshes in the same way as I will just demonstrate, but you will need to use your custom meshes. And starting from the first, so as you can see, the robot is one solid mesh, and then of course with a skeleton. Why I'm mentioning this? Because sometimes the skeletal meshes, they're coming as a modular. So for example, we have head separate, arm separate, body, legs, right? This is for customization. So then you can swap, for example, heads, different arms. And there is a process of setup in Unreal, different parts together and play animation same time and do this. But in UEFN, because we need to do this, like we need to retarget from our existing already, like a Gwart, for example, into our this one, it needs to be solid, right? We can't use separate meshes. So keep that in mind. And then usually when you're purchasing something from the fab, you have lots of different stuff like blueprints, right? Maybe even animations. In this case, because we're not doing custom animations, not implementing, because it needs to be retargeted and it will use directly from the Gwart everything, logic and animations. So I deleted already everything what's not needed. So I didn't have any animations here, but I deleted like blueprints. Usually it comes with sample maps. You don't want anything what can trigger basically validations error, right? So basically what's most important, it's skeletal mesh. I will even delete physics and skeleton. We will generate that directly in UEFN. Sometimes you can have validation errors with skeleton. It depends on the skeleton and setup. But you can easily generate like right click, right, like skeleton and then create skeleton. So this is what we will do in UEFN. And another thing to worry about is skeleton complexity. So on the fab, most of the skeletons, skeletal meshes, they using default mannequin skeletons. So you have three versions. You have Unreal 4 mannequins, Unreal 5, and UEFN. And why it's important? Because if you will use it as, like for example, this one is using Unreal 4, because I can see that there's only 3 spines, right? In Unreal 5, there are I think like 5 spines and more, basically extra bones for more controls. But it doesn't matter, Unreal 4 or Unreal 5, because retargeting, what we'll do like automatic retargeting, and it perfectly works with Unreal mannequin skeletons. And if you will have like really custom, then you may be in trouble. So when you're purchasing on the fab, there are like always details, always look. And it says like, for example, is it using Unreal 4 or 5 skeleton? And it should say yes. So as I said, like most of them, they're using. One more thing to think about is this is Unreal 5 mannequin. And this is UEFN, and you can see in size, it's a big difference. I'm not sure why they did it. Maybe it's because Fortnite, it's stylized game, it's not realistic. But normally in the games, we have 1.75 or 1.8 height of the like character. And this one, it's much smaller. So it's really little bit like different for retargeting. So sometimes your arms may not hold weapon properly. So I will walk you through how to do this. Okay, so let me delete even this then. So we have only skeletal mesh. Then of course, because skeletal mesh requires materials, so there are like a bunch of materials. There are like many of them just because of the customization again, but I won't delete all of them, so like it's fine. And then, of course, materials will require textures. So we have textures. Mostly, textures in Unreal from the fab can come like 4K, as you can see in here, like dimensions 4K. You can migrate this. UEFN automatically will cap it on a 2K. But same time, you can edit in here like this. So asset actions, edit selection properties. So you can Control A, select everything. And here maximum texture size, I already set to 248. But again, we can do this everything in UEFN. That's not a problem. And same with another one. So same materials, mesh. Let's delete this, and textures. And there are some masks. So robots look like this. Okay, so now is that. Let's save. Yeah, it will say validation error, like because we don't have skeleton, we need skeleton. But why I deleted this, because instead of migrating one file at a time, I can just select above the folders, right, like that, then do migrate. Then in here, again, double check that only what's inside of the folders it's migrating, because sometimes it may pick up something from other folders because maybe it's referencing something. So make sure that maybe what's referenced, maybe it's not necessary, or you can swap. So again, we know like robot 1, materials, mesh, and textures. And then robot 11, again, materials, mesh, textures. Nothing extra. Okay. Okay, so now in here, I need to select. So basically, I have like lots of my files, projects, and this UEFN project, and I need these prototypes. Then in prototypes, then I need to go plugins, again, prototypes, and content. When you're migrating, always needs to be content, right? If you're migrating to Unreal project or UEFN, always needs to be content. Not going somewhere else, only content. It should basically root of your project. And like that, so we're migrating. Now let's open our UEFN project. Okay, now in our UEFN project, I will look here. So basically it will be in root of our project. There are 2 folders. If when you migrated, your project was open, it may work, it may not. You will see folders, but they may look empty. Don't worry, migration happened. If you, of course, like didn't had any errors in Unreal when you migrated. So if not, and you still see empty folders, just restart your UEFN, because basically it means UEFN for some reason is not refreshed, and then it will work. So okay, let's start with this robot 1. As I said, we need skeleton, so right click, skeleton, create skeleton. Just like that. So we see everything is fine in here. And then right click and create physics asset, create and assign. Don't need to change anything here, just like that, and basically created this. If maybe for some reason one of these, like, or few capsules won't look great, you can always like update position, right? Maybe like that. In most cases, it usually works pretty good. But yeah, it really depends on complexity of your mesh. So like that, and we have it. So then again, right click on our skeletal mesh, and then we need IK rig, just like that. Let's open it. And in here, where we see all these chains, you don't need anymore to do this manually. And again, because we're using Unreal 4 skeleton, you just need to click this and then this. So basically you're creating retarget chain, bam, and you see it basically says Unreal 4 detected, 100% accuracy, perfect. And then we can do this auto create IK like that. Basically, IK, what it means is basically if you grab this hand and move, so then whole chain like in shoulder and body will start moving instead of like stretching. And we're done here. So we have this, and now let's create another one. Where are you? Animation. Yeah, there's empty one, right? So let's create empty one, and we will call it, let's say as well, IK, and then UEFN mannequin. Because we don't have this access to this mannequin, which is inside of UEFN, so we can't right click and do this. But what you can do now, it's add here. You see, we have our Fortnite mannequin like that. And then again, auto, and it's done. Now, again, we're coming here, animation, retargeting, and we need this IK retargeter. So RTG, and then I will just call it robot1. So we will use this file then to swap our guard custom meshes to this one. So in here, we need now source, so which will be our UEFN mannequin, and then target, it will be our robot1, like that. Sometimes it works pretty good from the start, and you want size, it's not important, but basically pose and fingers, it's really important. So you can see that in here, kind of like almost like a holding something. In my case, robot has like almost straight fingers. You can go here, running retarget, and then click on this auto align and align all bones. And now you can see that fingers changed. Sometimes, like always pay attention, sometimes it may disfigure your skeleton. So then maybe better don't do this auto align, and maybe just do a little bit manual, or just leave it and try in a game. Maybe it will still work fine. And yeah, usually what I notice that feet always have this interesting rotation, like when you're doing auto align. So in my case now, it basically goes up, but sometimes it goes down. So what you can just do, like select, make sure that you select proper bone, like this one, and then position it more accurately. You can try with snapping as well, but basically make it flat on the ground, right? Like this, and then something like that. And then when you click back on this, you going out of that like adjustment mode, and we're pretty much like almost done, almost. But normally you have here animations, so then you can preview how it retarget. Yeah, like because now it's in this pose, like, but maybe when you will play animation, it will be totally broken. We can go back to our Unreal, because this is basically a project. This is provided by Epic Games. It's an animation sample project. They have like 500 or something animations in here. And the cool thing is that they actually from UEFN mannequin and then retargeted for everything else. And we actually need UEFN mannequin. So if you will get that sample project, just open it, and then you will have characters folder. And in the characters folder, you have like multiple characters, but then you need UEFN mannequin. And then in here, you have multiple folders with animations. And we just need to grab some of them just to migrate, and then we can just use them for testing. So maybe not ideal because just simple. Maybe let's try just run. Just for demonstration, I will migrate whole this folder. We don't need so many animations just for testing, but it's fine. And this is a good example because I'm now trying to migrate these animations. And animations, they're using now this skeleton. Skeleton uses materials, textures. Now we will try to like as you can see, like trying even migrate audio, then blueprints. Then we have our this run animation, but then we have materials, meshes, rigs, right? Like as you can see, lots of unnecessary stuff. And sometimes if I'm not saying like always just disable, because as I say, like always check if you really need these files, because if you uncheck everything what's really needed, it will break that stuff, because if it requires these files, it requires. In my case, I know that this animations doesn't need all that stuff, so then I can totally fine disable that. Okay, so that, then again, I'm selecting my same project and migrating. Okay, let's go back to our project. Let's find that characters, yeah, characters folder, animations, run. As you can see, like I have already, so basically with this sign, it means it's not supported in UEFN, so right away delete it, but it will cause issues. Let's look for everything else. Everything else is fine. So if you will try to use this as is, it will say like it's broken. Why? Because it was retargeted, like it was playing for this UEFN mannequin, and we have different. You can see like even by the color. So that one is orange, this one is gray. What you need to do, it's select all of them, right click, and then retarget. No, replace skeleton. Sorry, replace skeleton. And then we need to choose our Fortnite mannequin. And okay. And we're done. Let's save it. Now you can see even our thumbnails changed. And now in here, we have all these animations. Now, if I will double click on it, you will see that it's playing. So now let's go into asset settings. And here it says like ignore root lock in preview. So basically root motion, it's basically when your character can move from 0, region with your animation. So animation is now the driving movement. You can disable that and it will do this. So basically it will run in place. Now it's much easier to see how it will basically work in our game, right? If you will click somewhere here in the timeline and then drag, it will pause animation, but now you can hold and drag just to preview. So you can always then preview how everything will behave. It's pretty good. So again, of course, it won't match perfectly because of the size. So robot, it's much taller because it's for Unreal 5 mannequin. Okay, so we're almost done in here, and we don't need like, for example, select. You can see like you can export selected animation. What it will do, it basically convert that animation for our robot. We don't need to do anything of that. So this is working. What I noticed, it's basically maybe because of the size, is that when Guard like holds weapon, let's say rifle, their hands won't align, right? They will be like totally off, maybe like 30, 50 centimeters off, and that's not great. What I found is helping adjust our arms. So for example, if you will click on the left arm, so this is our retargeting, right? So you can see like it says target chain, this is our left arm, and this is source left arm, right? So basically it's mimicking that. But then in here you have a few parameters. So IK, this is, as I said, like it drives whole chain, so like multiple bones instead of just one bone. So it's not stretching, but then pulling. And you can see that it says like blend to source translation, it's fine. But then blend to source, it's actually on 0. So 0, it means it's not affecting. And if I will now move this one to 1, you see it starts come close to that hand. So yes, our skeleton is bigger, but we can try basically to do this. So it will match that, and this is only location, and we have source rotation as well. And you can see like we can place that and it will come really close. Maybe it won't be perfect, but it's again because I haven't aligned this fingers bones basically manually. I just did this auto alignment, which is did great job, but not perfect. So you can try perfecting it. But for something like, let's say, shooting game where players like running really quickly, they won't see this perfection anyways. If these bones really distracting you, you can come here like character, bones, and then you see like I have a whole hierarchy. Then you can like selected bones only. So which, for example, you're selecting, it's visible like that. Or you can totally hide all the bones. So then you can just look into the mesh. So it looks like this. It's fine. And now let's do with a right. Like that. Not bad. Okay. Then we will create the blueprint, which we need to use. Where is our robot? Okay. Which we need to use for our like custom NPC. It's easily to do as well. Right click on the skeletal mesh, asset actions, create blueprint using this. Then you need to specify where to save this blueprint and name of the blueprint. So I usually add prefix what it is. Like that. Okay. And this is our blueprint. Keep in mind, it's not a prop blueprint because you can see here, there is no extra like components. You have a root and then you have skeletal mesh directly. And if you will look in the corner, it says parent class instead of prop. It says actor. So this is our topest in the hierarchy. And this is how it should be. Okay. You don't need to change anything in here. But then if you want to make it smaller, so maybe your character like as big as, for example, this robot, like, and you want maybe match this UEFN, you can try adjust it. Then, for example, how to know how much to scale it down. You can come back here, click on this again, asset settings, and in here there's parameter target mesh scale. So this is just for preview. It won't scale permanently. But then, for example, if we go in here, so we can in this A pose, now you can scale it like that, and you can see how it will match. So for example, in my case, it's around 0.9, maybe 0.92. So it's not bad. Just keep in mind that you see arms now, it's much shorter. So they definitely not long enough to match this position. So maybe you will have some issues properly holding these weapons. So keep that in mind. But basically, if you would want that, you just need here. Now we know that this is 0.9. So just come here and put everything on 0.9. And that's it. So this is how easily you can scale it. But I will keep this on 1. Okay. So this one on 1 as well. Just like that. If you will want, you can try match your legs as well. Same as we did with arms. So for example, you can select leg, come here and just do like this. And rotation. Like this. Usually it's not important to match legs. It's more for the this hands only and arms. That is not bad. Okay, so we've done with this one, and we can swap. I'm not sure I need to even show this one because it's pretty much same. Everything exactly same. So let's remind ourselves. So basically, when we're creating skeletal mesh, this is most important thing. Then we right click and then just generating physical asset from that. So physical asset, it's required to then, for example, when we're shooting, it gets damaged, right? And that you can't walk through this object. Then we creating skeleton, of course. Then we creating IK rig for our custom, and then for mannequin. Keep in mind, for mannequin, you need only one IK rig, and then you can reuse with any custom meshes. You don't need to create IK rig every single time for mannequin, just only once. So one IK rig per skeletal mesh. Okay, then we need blueprint actor with our skeletal mesh inside. This is what we will use. And then, of course, we're doing retargeting. Okay, so that is done. So let's grab our device. This is our device. Or actually, wrong one. Character cosmetic, or it's here. Yeah, no, it's wrong one. Okay, instead of Gward, we need actually custom NPC. So it will be in a beta, NPC spawner, and in here, few parameters. So infinite spawn, spawn timer, spawn radius could be bigger. Fine. Yeah, you can play with all these parameters. That's not so important. What's important is this one, NPC character definition. You can click on this and then create in there, or just right click in your folder and do same. It's artificial intelligence and NPC character definition. So let's call it same, or maybe just NPC. And then let's call it just robot1 again. So same name. So then everything is consistent. So let's open this one. And here we have a bunch of parameters. And type, it will be custom, but then like by default, but then we need this. So custom, it means it's a fully custom logic from the verse, but we don't want that. We want just reuse Gward logic. So as you can see, then it switches to default behavior. So we could use verse behavior again, but default is basically Gward. Then we have accuracy, all basically stuff what we can set in a Gward. That's totally fine. And then maybe like set it to high. Let him shoot. Then we have health parameters. So we can set like a, it's basically starting right like in maximum. Then we have shield, team, right? You can have team, and actually let's dock it here. And while this one is selected, I will click this arrow. So we will input, and you can see it's already updating our character, but it's not, of course, like our character yet. So in here, we can specify some of this, but then in here, we can do same thing like with this one. And then there are these additional parameters. Oh, yeah. So you see, like it was grayed out. I just needed to save it. Now it's not. And I can add, this is basically override for whatever is in this file, right? If you don't want to override, just read that. So add everything in that file. If you want sometimes override, so basically you can have some default logic in that file, so you can reuse the file multiple times, but then you want, let's say, like maybe change team, right? Maybe a little bit change just like health. You can then overwrite it in here as well per device. So let's go back here. So it's that. Then I will just change team to wildlife and creatures. So basically it attacks me. Cosmetics. So this is where we assigning our mesh. So we have Fortnite character, and we have then ability to change whatever is there available for us. Then we need custom character, and this is a blueprint input. So as I said, like we need then this one. So just click on that, and if we'll go back, we have already our mesh. Let's go back here. And then as you can see, so basically we have our mesh, but animations won't work. So that's why we need this retargeter. So if you will look in this, I have only one now, so it's easy to find. So this is our retargeter for the robot one. And we're done here. Now, of course, we can add something. You can see like you have a bunch of other parameters. I don't want to go into all of them, but basically like how far your this NPC can see and shoot and basically hear. Then effects, it's basically when you're spawning, when you eliminating them, different effects will be spawned. This as well, like perceptions, modifier for awareness. Then inventory, this is what we will use now. Movement and navigation. So movement, it's basically when I can, for example, show, this is basically for the speed, right? So this is your default stuff. So how fast they run, how fast they walk. Keep in mind, if you will adjust this, animation which they're playing may not adjust. So basically animation will be behind, right? Like for example, animation will look like it's walking, but your speed, it's almost like a running, right? And you will see that it's off. It's basically sliding instead of like properly walking. So yeah, I will keep that by default. Actually, I didn't want that to close. So movement, then patrol sequences. I'm not sure about sequences. UI modifier. Keep in mind, so you see like you have, do you want to show health bar and do you want to show name? So you can show name. You can even set who should see that name. Unfortunately, with a custom characters, this is not working. Unfortunately. So maybe if you will check something, I think sometimes it was working, then it was broken again. So just recheck, because when I used once Guard logic, but then just changed mesh, name was working, right? But then when I was using totally custom and logic and mesh, name wasn't showing. But just check. Basically, this is where you can do this. And then inventory is like, as I said, like we want that. So basically we will add weapons to this guy. So let's just search for something. Rifle. Actually, what we can do, actually not do here. Let's delete this. And this will be a good example for override. So in here, I will add this inventory. So this is loot, like can it drop loot? And what it drops is basically drops what it holds. In here, let's say, again, this is rifle. And then what I will do, I will duplicate this guy. Now let's do pistol. And maybe what we can add as well. Shotgun, maybe sword. Okay. So as you can see, like they're using same logic of that NPC character definition, but then we can specify different weapons for them. And we could specify different teams. They could fight each other. And then make sure that we spawn, enable at game start, right? Like spawning. And then how many? So we have that. That's it. So let's try in a game. And actually, when I pressed launch, I forgot to mention that all files migrated from Unreal, they are public, and in UEFN, they should be always private. Don't worry about that. It basically will tell you, you see, like make assets private. And you just need to select that. and resave. And then it should start validation. Okay, so validation is passed, so it means everything is good. So as I said, like if you're migrating skeleton, sometimes I had like some issues with skeleton for some reason. Well, it looks totally fine, but it didn't like it. So I just like regenerating it here in UEFN, it works then. Okay, so now let's just wait and test. While session is updating, I will add as well item for myself. Let's add item spawner. Okay, should be fine. Okay, so let's test. There we go. I just noticed that sword is not perfectly aligned in the hand, as you can see. But you can play, basically you need to play in this retargeting to get it right. And as you can see, if we're shooting, we can eliminate them. Oh, and actually health is looking fine. So maybe it's fixed. Yeah, rifle is pretty good from what I see. So it's just only sword. It's not so perfectly. Yeah, pistol is not bad. So everything is pretty much good. It's just only, where is that file? So it's only that holding, and yeah, it looks like, because we're trying to match it, but you see like our hand is here, but this mannequin hand is here. So that's why this offset. But again, you can play with a bunch of this parameters. You can offset it, as you can see, try to offset, but if you will go too crazy, it will break your like skeleton. But this is pretty much what you want. You can try match totally chain. So interpolation is basically means it tries to make a proper like a match between one position and another, like in a smooth way, instead of like really harsh way. You can try play with all that, and you see like there's like any rotation. If you will have sometimes, because again, you see this green line, it's basically this your IK. If your arm is really straight and it's not bent a little bit, then this IK doesn't know in what direction it needs to bend. It starts like break a little bit. You can adjust that, like as well rotations, how it should be, like bunch of these parameters. And as you can see, it's basically per bone and per chain as well. It's possible. But yeah, so as for totally automatic way to do this, I think this is really, really useful. And yeah, you can do this like pretty quickly for many characters. So hopefully this will be super useful for you. I hope you will be able now create more like maps with custom characters. Of course, don't forget, you need to optimize them. I didn't show in this tutorial that I just imported that. I didn't even look into materials. I didn't even look into textures. As you can see, some of the textures already like too big size, right? Like we need to reduce that size. I have tutorials about texture optimization. You can look into that. But yeah, this is really important as well. And you can even optimize skeletal mesh. If you open that, you have you can generate this LODs, but then you have a percent of triangles. So you can see that now my triangle count is 19,000. You can enable, I believe somewhere here, my frame. There you go, my frame. And then you have percent of triangles. You can specify, so it's between 0 and 1. And then apply. And it reduces, now it's 9,000, right? And as you can see, it didn't change much. But this automation reduction is like really super powerful. It doesn't break your animation, doesn't break your skeleton. So definitely look into this, because from the fab, usually assets comes really high poly. So for example, again, back to this, you can see that there's like little curvature, like gets like really rough, but go as low as this, right? It's still pretty good. If this bot will move really fast, you won't even notice. And now, but now it's like 4 times size, just like that. Okay, cool. So hopefully again, this will be useful for you. And if you will have more questions, feel free to leave in the comments or join our Discord, where we're always discussing this kind of stuff, and I always find time to help you. But yeah, have fun. I would like to say thank you to my all supporters. I appreciate your support. Thank you for your generosity. You can get project files on my Patreon or just buy me a coffee to support me. If you're interested in learning more about UEFN materials, coding, widget UI, and more, you can join our growing Discord community, where we like to discuss UEFN tips and tricks, showcase our work, and help each other. You can find link in the description or in the channel header.